Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the morning show. Welcome to earnings season. You guys excited for this? This guy's excited. We got some banks reporting this morning. We got UNH reporting this morning. We'll talk about that. We'll see what's on JC's mind. We'll see what's on Steve's mind. We'll see what's on Kenny's mind. Kenny Glick back in the saddle today. We'll be joined by one Mike Lee from Mike Lee's Strategy at 9, and then Mr. Phil Perlman later on at around the open. That's what I got going on. Chat, good? Yes. If you're watching us on YouTube, do me a quick favor. It'll take you about 1 second out of your entire life and just hit that like button. I would appreciate that. Please and thank you. Happy MLB All-Star break to you too, Sam. Here we go. Let's bring on the boys. Where they at? Where they at?
All right. Bitcoin is crashing, guys. What are we doing about it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this a Bitcoin crash? Is this the end of the bubble? That's what I'm told. Is the bubble over?
What bubble?
I knew I would be right. All you fools buying Bitcoin. I told you it was a Ponzi scheme. Right? Is that what's going on?
It's down a lot. Ugly candles yesterday. How about those candles in the miners? Been a good run. What did we say on here? 120, 125, I think is exactly what I said. Also, speaking of things that we said, did a whole bit on this. NVIDIA going back to China. You guys remember that?
No.
Did a whole bit on it.
Yeah.
So that happened.
Fun fact, the New York Giants, I think it was Bleacher Report, they came up with their 5 worst teams in the NFL heading into the new season. The New York Giants are supposed to be the worst team in the NFL. The New York Jets, 3rd worst in the league. Steve Strazza doesn't care. Fake news, right, Strazza? Fake news.
We have so many quarterbacks.
Shout out to JC versus Peter Schiff last night. Not so much like it's not a Peter Schiff. I'm not hating on anybody. I think he's done enough. I think he's done enough to himself. Peter Schiff, here we can actually throw it up and then we'll do a little state of the markets. Yeah, I'm not hating on Peter Schiff. In fact, years ago, I was like on one of those streets where all the clubs are in New York City, like not like the nightclubs, but like the Yacht Club and the Harvard Club and all of those, like in the 40s in between like Madison and Fifth Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter was just jaywalking down one of those streets because, they're tiny streets, jaywalking down those streets with like 2 dimes, one on each arm. I was like, all right, I see you, dog. I see you. You know what I'm saying? So nothing but love for a one Peter Schiff. Throw up slide 1 there. I just thought this was appropriate. I wasn't like hating. I'm not one of these trolls on the internet. I was just, Peter Schiff said, Bitcoin demand has shifted to Bitcoin treasury companies and speculators looking to front run that buying. This is a Ponzi built on a pyramid. It's about So he's basically talking about how speculators are the ones buying. Actually, the speculators are the most net short they have ever been, ever. So I was just wondering whether Peter ever bothered to look is really all it is. Because he's talking about how speculators are doing all the buying when we actually know that the speculators are more short than they ever have before. So I thought it was just a little odd.
You just have to know what business he's in. He's not actually in the business of speculating on these assets. He's actually in the business of scaring people about these assets so he could collect millions and millions of dollars in subscription revenue.
Yeah, he does. Really wasn't he like a congressman in Connecticut or something?
He ran so much money.
He ran for office.
Got it.
Nobody's gonna. We can
Listen,
say
all I
whatever
know
we
is,
want.
listen, nothing but love for Peter. I saw him. This was a long time ago, but there he was, jaywalking, 2 dimes, 1 on each arm.
What's wrong with jaywalking? Nothing's wrong with
it. I am the king of jaywalking. I am a New Yorker. Sorry. You go to Japan, dude, in Japan, these idiots are just standing there on the corner for like an hour. There isn't a car in sight. Like there isn't a car for miles and miles. And they're just standing there like a bunch of idiots waiting for the damn thing to turn, right? Because they have rules amongst themselves in Japan. You can't jaywalk. But the Americans can do whatever they want in Japan. It's like, oh, just Stupid American. He doesn't know any better. Like, that's how they treat. They love it. It's great. But I'm not going to stand there on the corner like an idiot if there's no cars anywhere. We're going to go.
Okay, wait. Before we do state of the markets, great question from the chat. Who are speculators? Excellent question. I'm glad you asked.
Us.
They're investors who are not.
Spencer.
No, they're simply people who are participating in markets whereby the primary operations of the business that they're in are not in those markets. That's it.
Right. The
you
commercial
make
hedgers
cars-
are like the mining companies, right? Companies that transact in Bitcoin and have to hedge themselves. Those are the commercial hedgers in the crypto. If it's in the corn market, these are the farmers that are hedging their crops, and we are the speculators. You know, the just people that are trying to trade corn futures because we think they go higher or lower, right?
Yeah, we're
And
speculators.
in the futures market, you have to disclose who you are.
I like that, actually.
I don't mind that. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't know why we have to wait till Friday to get the goddamn data when we have blockchain technology and we can actually know in real time. So I don't know why the CFTC has to pretend that like this is the Stone Age.
Okay,
Like
so
that
guys,
part I don't understand.
But seriously, can we spend a minute just on
God
like
forbid there's a holiday in the week, then the thing gets delayed another 3-4 days. Like, oh my God, it's like their heads are exploding because of a holiday.
let's spend a minute on the big news headline of the day. Nvidia going back to China, does that make either of you guys feel a certain way?
I don't
feel
know
like
what
this
that
was-
means.
This was always going to happen, Steve.
Nvidia going back to China? I didn't know they were there in the first
All right.
place. I never realized they left.
Everyone picked up and ran away from China as soon as it became clear that that was the politically correct thing to do, prudent thing to do.
No, they weren't allowed. They were banned.
Okay, fine. And then, a few months go by and they're back.
No, it's been longer than that. But anyway,
all right.
Who gives a
they
shit?
went for full ban in April, but there's been another ban, like how we sell them the chips with the governors on them. That's been going on forever. Here's the deal. What we did, I think, was perfect. We gave our guys a head start. That's it. But to think that you're gonna like keep the chips from China and they're not eventually gonna make their own and catch up anyway is crazy. It's been a couple years now. Why not let Nvidia sell their chips to China? They're just going to get very similar chips from somebody else very soon, is the idea. So let Nvidia take those sales and make that money rather than a Chinese company. The United States companies, the mega AI adopters, they're already, a year ahead of China. So I think the risk of allowing them to have the good technology has been far reduced now because of what we did. So this isn't one of those. What's the acronym about Trump and chickens?
Taco.
I don't think this is a taco situation.
Taco Tuesday. How do you like it?
You're saying this is more of a burrito, is what this is.
Dude, if you are making steaks and you don't make too much steak so that you have tacos the next day, you're doing it all wrong. The move is to make an irresponsible amount of steaks so that you could just heat them up the next day. Easy tacos, chop up some onions, little cilantro, little lime. How you doing? And you're good. All set. State of the market, Spencer. Do it. Do it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about all that China stuff, but back here in the good old US of A, you like my t-shirt there, Spencer?
Very good. Is that Old Navy?
I doubt it.
Oh, I feel like I had one just like that. That was from Old Navy.
The American flag. Shout out to America. So we got the Dow futures doing nothing this morning, 44,665. Wow, unbelievable. Dow Jones Industrial Average. S&P's up 1/3% today, 63.34 of 23 handles. Nasdaq 100 futures up 2/3%, 23,175, up 140 handles this morning for the Nasdaq. Bond futures up a smidge, just under 113. Oil flat at 67. Copper flat at 555. Gold's flat at 33.56. Silver down 0.5%, 38.5, with the VIX down this morning, back under 17, 1670 for the old volatility index. So if you take the VIX, divide by 16, that'll give you the implied move for the day in the S&P 500, which is about 1%. And then, of course, over in funny money land, we got Bitcoin getting the crap kicked out of it today, down 3,000 points. That's 2.6% to the downside, just under 117. Ethereum hanging in there pretty well, down less than 1%, just below 3,000. Then you got old Solana, 159, down 2% on the day. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, after a new all-time high print yesterday, a couple pennies below 3.8 trillion. We are now down to 3.61 trillion total crypto market cap. What stands out from this morning's futures, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, isn't Bitcoin being down whatever 2-3%? Isn't that good to see? Because for a while there, we were complaining how Bitcoin was not as volatile as it used to be. And in a world where Bitcoin is not volatile, what does that mean for its growth prospects? But if Bitcoin is still capable of dropping 4 or 5% in a day, then that means it's still capable of going up 4 or 5% in a day. So I'm here for it.
Here's the bigger story for me. Throw up slide 2, and then we'll get into slide 3.
Strazza, you don't agree with that?
Big one.
You don't agree with my take? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, Spencer.
All right.
You know, like we know it's less volatile now. There you got institutions in there. You got futures market. You got ETFs. You got options. So there's just so many derivatives happening that's just gonna keep volatility more diminished, if anything.
What was the take?
Spencer thinks that Bitcoin going down is good for the price of Bitcoin. I don't know about that. That's a little bit of a reach there, Spencer.
I don't think. I mean, like anything, I don't think you want a parabolic trend to the upside. You want something orderly, but like you're getting it with Bitcoin. Bitcoin draws down like stocks now and then outperforms them to the upside. Draws down like stocks and then outperforms to the upside. Draws down like stocks. I mean, the sharp rate.
Can we talk about this one? This to me is the big story that nobody's talking about. No?
The dominance? What?
So here's Bitcoin dominance, right? So this is the percentage that Bitcoin represents of total crypto market cap. We just said about 3.6 trillion in total crypto market cap. Bitcoin's about 2.3 trillion. So you're looking at 64%. You know, I've been in the camp that we're literally witnessing the highs for the rest of our lives in Bitcoin dominance. In other words, Bitcoin, in my opinion, will never be this large of a percentage in crypto markets ever again, right? So why don't you, so here reaching that 261.8% extension of that base in 21 and 22, going into 23. So now zoom in. So here's the Bitcoin dominance. So from failed moves come fast moves in the opposite direction is the way I learned it, Mr. Strazza, with a bearish momentum divergence at those highs and Bitcoin dominance completely falling off a cliff.
Look, I'm rooting for this outcome that you have drawn up here. I'll do better if the altcoins wake up and start to outperform. That's how I'm positioned.
Now let's clear this up for the folks out there. If you're out there listening, be like, well, is this bad for Bitcoin? I would argue that this is the best thing that can happen to Bitcoin. How do you feel about that, Strazza?
I would agree. I would totally agree. Bitcoin needs the support of its friends. You need that confirmation. You need that buy-in from the broader asset class. Just like anything, right? If Caterpillar or General Electric are climbing here, going up every day, and every other industrial stock in the S&P 500 is going down, we're going to sit here and say that's not sustainable. That's really still what's been going on with crypto for a long time now. Not sustainable. The action from the altcoins down the cap scale in crypto. But boy, have they woke up in a big way just recently. You see some of this action in the Ripple?
Yep.
H-bar, they're running the H-bar again. Algo, Sui Lui. A lot out there. Spencer's sitting there dreaming of fart coins.
Dreaming is a strong word,
No.
but no.
Yeah, you know, when you start talking about these names from prior cycles, you know, it takes me back. I remember vividly just being on a walk with my wife, you know, pushing a stroller, and you know, when we only had one kid, texting Strazza on a Saturday morning.
Hell yeah.
About the one coin or whatever, you know, over the years. I mean, and then, you know, some of these names are coming back into the swing of things. I like it. Steve Strazza, I want to give a big shout out to the All-Star Charts team. You as the chief market strategist of said All-Star Charts research, you get the most credit, even though I know for a fact this definitely wasn't you.
I have a lot of help.
But we'll give you the credit anyway, because that's how this works, you see. The
What
man
is
at
it?
the
Let's see
top
it.
gets the credit, even though
I'm
we
always honest about it. Let's see
we
it.
all know it was Fonz and Rick collabing
Let's see
We
it.
all know it was Fonz and Rick collabing on this. Throw up slide 4. This is a great chart.
You know who this was? So I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone with Slick Rick yesterday. We're talking about biotechs, banks, and everything else. And this is just the conversations I have throughout the day. I was actually just in the middle of telling Rick how I'm barely an Optima anymore because I don't have the time. And I don't get the FOMO that I used to get because I got 6 guys serving me up the best stuff that they find every day. So I'm like, guys, I really don't feel like I'm missing stuff. Like you guys are on the scans. So Rick's like, oh, on that, have you seen these drone stocks? And he's showing me, and I'm like, no. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it.
I don't recognize any of the names. Here, let's actually throw up the names that are in this index.
So I said, you gotta build the custom index. This is too good. I was looking at the options activity, unusual options activity, all up and down all of these chains yesterday. It's government stuff. They got the what's the Fox News guy who's in the government now? He was taking pictures or sexy videos by drones this weekend. He got everybody all excited. Donald Trump, Don Jr. is on the board of one of these companies. Very interested in that. We got a big trade coming.
Throw up slide 5 there. These are the names that are in the All-Star Charts Drone Index. Well done. So shout out to Slick Rick out there, Fonzarelli.
Yep.
I've heard of 3 of these companies.
I was gonna say I don't know most of these names. I love it.
I'm in the RCAT.
Walk me through some of these.
A lot of us are in the Kratos. I know. I am currently not. I don't think so. Ehang, we've traded very successfully.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of this DRSHF. I'm in it now. I bought them all. I pretty much bought them all. I'm not gonna lie. Bought a lot of options too.
Dude, the index looks great. So this is an equally weighted index. Go back to the chart itself. This is an equally weighted index.
Yeah, Michael Gilson wants to know what's in the index. Can we just drop the link to the morning note or last night's note? 2 notes went out.
Yeah, I got you.
There's the ASC Drones Index. Fantastic.
Hey, quiet, DBG. Stop it. Stop it, chat.
What's going on? What are they chatting about?
No, we got a big trade coming.
Oh, I see. Are they front running your trade?
We're trying to front run my trade. Yeah.
Dude.
Unbelievable.
We got a great chart here I want to share. This comes from Ned Davis. If you throw up slide 6. So this is healthcare's relative strength.
Oh, this is great.
During cyclical bull markets. And you can see this is the worst ever. The current market environment.
But hold on. I don't like it. I need some sort of denotation between a long time ago and now. Healthcare wasn't always defensive. You see all the ones where healthcare
it's not always defensive. Agreed. We're looking at periods where they outperformed in cyclical bull markets.
These are only periods where they outperformed, or they underperformed plenty here.
Agreed. They usually underperform. So there's if you zoom in there, Spencer, you can see at the top all the labels.
What's the orange line?
Sorry.
What's the orange line?
No, go back to
way
the
up
healthcare.
top.
Go back to the healthcare. There you go.
Yeah,
the orange line was 1974.
And then the black dotted
74 to 76.
Wow, black dotted was 2011 though, huh? Really?
Yeah. So I just thought, I thought this was a great chart. Shout out to the folks over at Ned Davis, right?
Do you consider healthcare one of the defensive groups, or do you consider it mixed?
You know, for me, it's more about the industry groups. Is biotechnology defensive? Is medical equipment and medical devices, is that defensive? Not really, right? So I think it depends where in healthcare you're looking at, and I think it's industry specific. But here we're looking at the major sector from a higher level where you got United Health and Pfizer and all of those things. So, you know, I think that there is definitely a more defensive tilt at the sector level, while that might not necessarily be the case at the industry group level. So that's how I think about that. Keep in mind, this isn't Canada, right? In Canada, they got 0 healthcare stocks, right? Because they socialize all that stuff. So there's 0 healthcare stocks in Canada. And in America, it's actually one of the largest sectors for sure. Did you see that? Did you see that chart of all the employers by state? You see that?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God!
I love charts like that.
Me too.
I love charts.
Wait, you guys didn't see this?
Color-coded maps of states.
Here. So this one comes from This
Is it the
top
largest
employer by state.
private employer by state?
Yeah. So here we
Is
go.
it mostly Walmart and Amazon?
Throw up the new slide 1 here.
It's
Throw
mostly
that up.
Walmart and Amazon.
So this is kind of nuts. This is definitely kind of nuts. So here we're looking at the top employers by state. A lot of manufacturing back in 1990, which is that blue.
That makes
right?
sense.
Now you
actually.
look over on the right.
Healthcare.
Purple is healthcare, and so the largest employer by state is healthcare, like in pretty much every state. Isn't that wild?
Yale is the largest employer in Connecticut and has been for a long time.
Yale is the largest employer in Connecticut?
Yeah, Yale Health. Yep.
How about that?
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
That's wild though. So
although I am surprised to see not as much yellow. I would have thought there'd be more retail.
We have a healthcare problem.
You think? I mean, I don't know anything about anything, but I could see this, and I'm thinking that's probably not okay.
I don't know who I was listening to. I think it was Colin Roach. He's great.
Isn't it Roche?
I don't think so. I don't know. But I love his work. And he was making the point that if you actually break down the inflation in the United States, going back, 40 years, healthcare has ballooned. But most other things, like grocery, like sneakers, apparel, in real terms, have actually shrunk like crazy. Anything tech related, everything else is shrinking. But healthcare is just so big, and it is growing, that dominates the total inflation.
I think what that point you're making is as a percentage of the money that we spend, grocery is shrinking. We used to spend way more percentage of our outlays went towards food. That's gone way down. But healthcare and tuition and childcare have all gone through the roof.
I could consider childcare healthcare in a way, and then school. You're right, is the other big problem. And
but our TVs are so cheap now.
We're at an inflection point for schools, and I think college will be done differently in the future, and I'm a big fan of it.
Maybe. Kenny, are you around? Should we bring Kenny on?
Yeah, bring on Kenny. Bring him out.
We missed him for a couple of days.
Strazza,
it's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they took it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola.
Kenny Glick in the house. Hello, sir.
What up? How are you?
Are you doing that dominatrix thing again in the mornings? What did I tell you about that?
Nah, just if anybody's thinking about shorting the market, think of me coming at you full speed with not just one ball, not just two balls, 3 balls with metal spikes on them, about to bash your brains in. All right.
Where does one purchase one of those, out of curiosity?
Oh, I got a dungeon in my basement. That's where I keep all of my former Bear Market Association members. Yeah, I'm not even the traveling secretary anymore. I just gave up. I handed in my resignation. I'm done.
They don't sell those kind of things at Grateful Dead concerts.
No. I got a whole collection of swords. Very cool stuff.
I was gonna say, ironically enough, Spencer's Gifts. You can probably buy that. But
Spencer Gifts, man, you never know what you're gonna find in the
I know.
Yeah. Usually
anyway,
fart spray and some X-rated game for a party.
All right, Kenny, what are we watching this morning?
What am I doing? I don't know. I'm watching the Qs, and the joke on the internet as I was doing this live, CPI data was coming out, and I was saying nobody's gonna care, and the market's gonna go up because the sun came out. So, and there's no nuclear holocaust. So we just bought the dip, and we just got actually 2 faux show bros on the Qs already this morning. So right before the CPI data came out, we had broke that new low, only to rip their faces off. And just now it came under the VWAP and did a little faux show bro action. But I'm looking at the banks. I'm looking at the JP Morgan. I'm looking at Citibank. I'm looking at, some of the earnings reports that came out. Kind of, quiet because everybody's all about tech right now. Chip stocks, the space, rockets, robots, quantum trade is still on. But I got to go back and check on my old friends. Citibank, already came back to prior day VWAP and held. It's already been a buy on dip. So I'm going to assume JP Morgan, same kind of thing. So JP Morgan, you got your faux show, bro, to 285. Looks like the bottom's in already. Chances are these are all going to be buys because I heard we're in a bull market. So that's where I'm at.
I mean, JP Morgan is like unchanged this morning. It's down 0.5%. Yep. Citigroup is I guess it is up 1.5, right? Wells Fargo's down, right? What, 3?
Yeah. You know what else? I traded already. The only trade I put on today was SBET. The stock has been paying me every day. We swung it. Some of us have options from last week. The 15's at 2. Obviously traded at around $11 right now. The stock is in a little gap zone, so it looks like we're going to go to about 35, 36 on the name. And again, it's the everything rally. It's hard not to pick a winner on the long side right now. But I'm just looking for these, new names like Myrna woke up, came out of the, broke out last week. Looking for consolidation on that. So it's awesome. It's awesome. Just let's keep riding this train. But more importantly, these earnings reports, if JP Morgan goes green, huge fan of that stock right here. And just on a small scale, how about something nobody ever talks about? Albertsons, huh? Now we're going old school.
I think they had earnings this morning. Right?
There's nothing wrong with trading consumer staples, Kenny. You don't need to feel like you're dirty and you need to shower. It's okay. You know that, right?
Listen,
you don't always have to be like some AI space exploration battery company. Like it could be a grocery store. Like that's okay.
You got it. Listen, there's not enough volume on it to get excited, but it's at near the lows of the day, so I'll just assume it's going to go up. But above 22.15, you're looking like looks like a buy. But yeah, I mean, once again, it's hard to be long and wrong right now. So enjoy it while it lasts, and I think it's going to last for another 3.5 years. So let's go, USA, USA,
USA, USA, USA, dude. Fucking America's awesome, man.
Right on. And listen, I appreciate everybody who showed up last week. Hopefully you guys, stuck around. And the party's just getting started, my friends. This is the greatest time to be a trader ever.
Did you get the fried chicken?
Oh, I got one of everything in Nashville. Yeah. I had actually a great smoked turkey sandwich, which was awesome. But then we got sushi at a place. I was like, are we going to get Nashville sushi? But it was an up-and-coming place. It wasn't bad.
Did you get to Hattie B's?
What I did do was I cut a rug with Dave Tepper, which was hilarious.
Did you? That's cool.
Yeah, me and Dave. Dave was sweating it up on the dance floor for a while.
Dude, he parties. I partied with him. He gets down.
I thought he was going to hang out in the corner for a second. I don't know if you know, I went to the wedding. My buddy's, he works with Tepper. So it was a good time. We were baking out in the Reba McEntire mansion. The one time when the sun came out the worst. Were
you smoking weed with David Tepper? Tell me you were smoking weed with David Tepper.
No, I wasn't smoking weed with David Tepper. No.
Even if you were, you wouldn't be allowed to say that.
No, but he did.
We're just gonna all assume that you were smoking blunts with Tepper.
I figured he was gonna do a little, how you doing, and just leave. He stayed, man. He was dancing it up. He was taking his doggy bag with the free chocolate chip cookies.
Nice. Nice.
It does. Hey, free cookies. All right. But it was a good time. I'm glad we all made it home alive.
All right, Kenny, we'll see you in the room, all right?
What?
See you in the room. Hitthebid.com. Trade with Kenny every single day.
Be careful out there.
And that. Should we bring on today's featured guest, Mr. Mike Lee?
I want to bring on Mr. Mike Lee. I've known Mr. Lee longer than I've known any of you guys. I have known Mr. Mike Lee probably longer than I've known any guest that has ever come on this show. How about that? How about that? Fun fact. Shout out to the Fairfield Stags. Shout out to the Stags. Stags rugby.
Okay.
Yo, Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Mr. Mike Lee, how are you, sir?
Let's go Fairfield Red Ruggers.
Dude, is that what you guys call yourselves, the Red Ruggers?
Yes.
Right, we'll leave it at that.
Listen,
let me tell you something, folks. If you would have told me 25 years ago that I would be being interviewed by Maria Bartiromo on national television with Mike Lee and the two of us on national television being interviewed, you would have told me that 25 years ago, I would have said you're crazy. I would have said you're crazy.
Dude, absolutely nuts. But here we are.
Here we are. Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. How about that? They didn't see it coming, Mike. They didn't see it coming.
They did not. So what's doing, my man, JC?
I just want to say Strazza feels left out. Strazza, also a fellow stag. He didn't party with us back in the day. He's a little younger than we are, but nevertheless, fellow stag. Shout out to the stags. Fear the deer. And so, what I see is I see the stock market making new all-time highs, not just in the United States, but around the world. And then I see people just not buying into it. Consumer expectations down in the dumps, positioning by asset managers and hedge funds, non-existent, short interest, multi-year highs on the New York Stock Exchange, in the median stock there. Just people not buying into, not seeing the ETF flows either, Mike. Not seeing the ETF flows either. And all of that is consistent with the early stages of a strong bull market and an uptrend that's got legs. So personally, I love to see it. I know there's an element of politics involved. We see the Gallup polls, 90% of the liberals think the stock market's going to fall in the next 6 months. So we're thrilled to have angry liberals out there. So, you go check all the boxes. And then we're coming off some of the most extreme levels of pessimism of all time. And so, I think that there's legs there. So that's how I view the world right now and the mispositioning that's out there. And we've been here taking advantage of it. Want to hear your thoughts. Are you seeing the same thing? You want to poke some holes in that?
No. So like some important distinctions, and like we'll talk about like this tariff tantrum where everybody sold off. You got to understand the way it works in a pod system at a hedge fund is, let's just say me, you, and Strazza had our own pod, and coming into April 1st, we were up 4 or 5% for the year, and we say had a $200 million money line, which we could lever up to $1 billion. Okay,
what could go wrong?
Well, see, the thing is, if there's 3 or 4 other pods that are having terrible years, they're just going to tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, now your money line's 100 million and you can only lever that up to 300 million. And so the growth factor and the momentum factor got absolutely destroyed in February when NVIDIA slightly missed estimates, and so did Microsoft. And that began this unwind, particularly in the long short community for the hedge funds. And why you're seeing this net record short is because the net long exposure from the hedge fund community is still near 5-year lows. Okay. And it's because when you lose, if you're down 5 or 6% in a hedge fund in the first 3 or 4 months, okay, given your parameters of your specific fund, whether you got to be beta neutral or factor neutral or delta neutral, okay, you can't go out and take swings to make that money back. You have these tight risk parameters. And when you have these whale tail events that blow out those risk parameters and you blow up individual strategies, okay, they're just, everybody's risk goes down all across the book, regardless of how they're doing. So you have a long short equity community that's by and large offsides, and they've missed the entire snapback because of their margin and risk requirements. Because if we're down 5% in the first 5 months, okay, our goal is to make it back to zero by the end of the year, because basically it's a zero revenue year because you have a watermark. So if we're down for calendar year 2025, okay, we can't start charging a performance fee until we're above water. So all these risk parameters came in, and then the misinformation about tariffs. Like, I like to compare it to like the Water Boy, where Bobby Boucher's mom used to say, "Foosball is the devil." Right? That's what they said. That's what we think about tariffs. And there's a guy named Steve Eisman who is played by Steve Cottrell in The Big Short. He went on like one of the CNBC nonsense shows, and he was like, who's the guy? Dan Nathanson, who's like the biggest bear Trump hater ever. He's explaining to him like, look, everybody in America is given a textbook that says tariffs are the worst possible things you can do. And like, there's a lot of contrary evidence that's right in your face, namely India and China, that says, hey, it could be really good for domestic manufacturing. So the overreaction to this tariff stuff is like the largest I've seen in my career. And so you kind of combine this like hedge fund community that has no choice but other than to sell. And these are the guys that push stocks around, really push stocks around. Okay, they're not long. Okay, in addition to that, you have all these people, yes, the liberals. If you look at the University of Michigan inflation expectations by party, you can just see how insane the expectations are for Democrats versus Republicans. And if you go back to the last inflation cycle, 2 or 3 years ago, Republicans were much closer to reality, as they are right now. So all those things led into this. And then you're in a situation where what I think is the trade in the market is the expectations that the infrastructure for artificial intelligence is that it's going to die off in like 15 months. Okay. And like, just kind of bear with me. This is a little bit long of an explanation, but like I'm at the Money Show in Vegas, and I gave a presentation about this yesterday. Okay, the unit of measurement.
You're in Vegas right now?
In Vegas right now.
Nice.
Did not went to bed at 8 o'clock last night so I could be bright eyed for you.
I'll take the over.
But if you look at Marvel's earnings estimates, Nvidia, AMD, there's this expectation that their growth is going to fall off a cliff in 15 to 18 months. And I'm just here to tell you that's absolute utter nonsense. So there's a lot of comparisons to the infrastructure build out of the internet in the late 90s. Okay, this AI is a fact. It's between 5 and 10 times bigger. And we're 5 to 10 years out of that infrastructure being laid out. And so the unit of measurement for data over AI is tokens, right? That's 3/4 of a page of code, right? So it could be letters, dots, spaces, whatever it is. Okay, the amount of tokens that the demand is going to surpass the infrastructure build for at least 3 years, most likely 5 years, okay? And we haven't even gotten to the age of AI agents, which is taking a large language model and using something smart to apply it to a business. Okay, the token demand is about to explode. If you followed what Jensen Huang has said from NVIDIA, that it's like these tokens, this is kind of like this is the way you need to think about this. So to me, the easiest layups are these AI infrastructure trades. If we go back to last time I was on, just before the election, I was talking about my favorite stock I've ever seen. If it was a person I would marry it, is Palantir. I think it was at like $40 and it was on an uptrend. Like,
Dude, a big shout out to Mike Lee. You absolutely nailed it. You were pounding the table going into the election. And to be fair, I mean, it was obvious it was going to be a landslide victory by the Republicans. You saw all the crypto stuff working. You saw Tesla working. You know, all the Trump stuff was working going into that. Regional banks were working. So all all the liberal stuff was like underperforming. And it was clear that Trump was going to win. So it's like, all right, what's the trade? You nailed it. I think Palantir might be the biggest winner since then, or at least up there in the conversation, right?
Yeah. So that plays into this AI. Yeah, well, so that plays. So right now, Palantir is like one of the most expensive stocks that may have ever existed. You're trading at about 70 times forward revenue.
But you get what you pay for, Mike. You're gonna go to a cheap sushi joint, or you're gonna go to the good spots. You're right. You get what you pay for in life.
So the way to think about Palantir is the overall market for software for AI is going to be about 60 billion this year. Okay, it's going to be $1 trillion in 2030. Palantir's got like a 7 to 8% market share. Okay, if they maintain that market share, that means their revenue is going to go from 5 to 80. Okay, in the course of 5 years, and so not all of that is priced into the stock. So we'll see if they can execute on that. I still own it. I bought it for my clients in like the teens and the 20s. And I'm going to keep riding it. But to me, the layup trades are so AMD's up big this morning. AMD and Marvel they're trading at mid-20s forward multiples, where historically they've traded at mid-30s forward multiples. And same with NVIDIA. Like these stocks, and it's because there's this belief on the street that you can't keep spending, that the build out for AI is just going to slow down. We can't building these data centers. Where's the ROI? It's just not true. It's not existence. The runway for AI, and that's the backdrop, right? That's the real earnings power. That's the real bull theme, regardless of anything we're seeing technical in the market. But then you go to the technical stuff. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but every time you have a V-shaped bottom like the S&P 500, you're looking at a 20+% gain, like historically, over the next 12 months. And in these V-shaped bottoms, the market can remain overbought for extremely irrational periods of time. Okay, you had a golden cross in the NASDAQ, which is like a 20%er going forward. On top of that, we just got fiscal stimulus. Okay, Jerome Powell may be gone by the end of the summer. I don't know if you've been following these headlines. He's got
it changes every day. They're going to fire him. They're not going to fire him. They're going to fire him. Like, which is it?
Well, JC, there's a cost overrun of $700 million on top of the $2.5 billion of the Federal Reserve building that they're building right now. First of all, why does the Federal Reserve need a building that's more than a couple $100 million? Okay, especially because most of their employees are going to work remote, let alone one that's going to be north of $3 billion, and he lied to Congress about it. So there's a chance he could be gone by the end of the summer. Regardless, a year from now, I'm telling you, short-term interest rates will be 200 basis points lower than they are right now.
Because they're just going to replace them with someone more dovish, basically?
Well, someone connected to reality. All right, we are more I'm
being told by some people whose opinion I respect. I don't know anything, but from the people whose opinion is that he's like the greatest Federal Reserve chairman of all time. You don't think that's the case? I'm being serious. I swear. I'm not trolling.
Yeah,
This
look,
is what I'm being told. Is that fake news?
No, he's a hyper partisan clown, and you know anybody that wants to like
is he a hyper partisan clown? Is that true?
Yeah, well, look, so Bernie Moreno gave him a dressing down about 2 weeks ago in the Senate. And he's like, listen, you didn't say anything about shutting down the economy. You didn't say anything about the insane fiscal stimulus. You didn't say anything about all of the other things that happened in the previous administration that were wildly inflationary, like their energy policy. Okay, and you just got up there and said we should forgive student debt. And then you're saying tariffs are this dramatic cause of inflation that are not a good idea and that we need to pause interest rate.
Got it. So he's talking about two sides of his mouth, right?
Yeah, and he says the economy's healthy, but yet his expectations for growth are like 1.3%. It is complete and utter nonsense. Like we are tighter now than we have been in this entire political, like the entire cycle. And somehow he did this magical about face in November after from cutting rates. So. Look, I think he's terrible, right? Like he's too slow to raise. In 2021, we're getting 8 and 9% inflation prints, and you're still adding tens of billions of dollars of bonds to the Fed balance sheet. Okay, because he didn't want to ruffle the feathers so he could get reelected to a second term. So I think he'll go down as easily the worst. I mean, it's a lot of
all right.
He's easily like a lot of competition with Janet Yellen. But like he could be gone by the end of the summer. But regardless, a year from now, you're going to see short-term rates 200 basis points lower than they are right now.
And then what's the story? So Trump can't legitimately just fire the guy, but like
he can, but that's like a huge court battle and a fight. Right. So like, this is my opinion that like, if you're a political appointee, there is no independent branch. Right. Like if the president appoints you, like you have the judicial, you have the executive, and you have the legislative. OK, the Federal Reserve isn't their own branch of government. And I challenge anybody to show me an amendment of the Constitution. And you can't pass a law that says you can't fire an executive branch employee. You need to pass an amendment to the Constitution to change that. Jerome Powell is a political appointee that the president can fire at any moment in time.
Didn't Trump appoint him?
Yes. Yeah. Well, look, so, in the first administration,
Mitch McConnell knew that? You see how I knew that? That was pretty good, right?
Yeah, but Mitch McConnell gave him like for all these cabinet positions, it's like here's 4 people we'll allow.
Is Mitch McConnell one of these like Weekend at Bernie's guys? Like he's just out to lunch? He's one of those, right?
Not now. Yeah, him and Joe Biden having their ice cream. But anyway, but like, look, that's like my political points, and like there's logic and fact based, but like a lot of people could disagree. Regardless, a year from now, there's a high probability rates are going to be 200 basis points lower. Okay, so when you look at that from an investor standpoint, we're only looking at 4% EPS growth in the next quarter on the S&P 500. The market has completely mispriced how big AI is. Right. And how big the infrastructure spend will be and like how that's going to transform productivity. So when you factor fiscal stimulus, monetary stimulus, earnings estimates too low, all the momentum and technical factors that are back, like this is the most bullish I have ever been in my entire life. And like for anybody that watches Varney and Company, Stu calls me the Super Bowl. So like I'm like pretty a positive guy. This is like I can't.
And you're kind of like a bull in a china shop also, because like you're like super jacked. And
fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call you fat, not to your face, definitely not. If we ever get in a fight, I'd want you to be right there next to me, and I'll be. So it sounds to me like you think that rates are just going to get slammed, bonds are going to go up, and buy speculative growth, high multiple growth names, particularly AI and tech, go out on the risk curve, like bull market on LFG.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Like that's where we are. And I don't even think you need to like go like step on the gas. You just put on a cyclical trade and you could be looking at a 20% plus return over the next 12 months, which is awesome. Right. And it's kind of like, for me, it's hard because I was huge on Palantir. And then the other stock I got huge on was CoreWeave. And like I started pounding the table on that at $50 and it went to 180 at 6 weeks. So it's kind of like, you buy a stock now at 50 and it goes to 55 in a month. And you're like, well, that's really nothing. Where prior to Palantir, I would have been like, well, that's a home run.
Yeah.
But
now let me ask you something, Mike. So, whenever we have these conversations, you always come back and bring it to, the Federal Reserve and, geopolitics, particularly here in the United States and everything like that. As a financial advisor, someone who's, entrusted with managing the assets of, families and households and whatnot, how do you keep that political bias out of the decision-making process? Like, how do you think about that?
Well, look, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. You follow policy, not politics. Right?
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good way to look at it. You follow policy, not politics. I like that.
Well, like what makes a difference? Like, as you can see, my last name is Lee. I changed it from O'Brien, but like I'm very much a meat and potatoes guy. Like I'm a pale Irish man, right? I'm looking for the substance. Where is the meat and potatoes? It's in the policy. So what does the policy actually say and do, and how's that going to affect the economy and the markets, right? And like there's politicians, that I like that have bad policy. There's politicians that I hate that have good policy. So like let's make it work. So I'm getting hammered in the comments here.
Don't worry.
Worst guest ever. Sorry, I'm not beautiful enough for you.
No. You are lovely. Bill doesn't like it when people get a little too conservative. He likes when we go the other way, right? So he doesn't like some of the truth bombs being dropped.
Yeah, but
that's all right. That's all right. We have fun with it.
Look, so had Trump not won, this AI thing was still happening, right? But like if you look at this tax bill, the fiscal stimulus with the immediate depreciation and the industrialization of our country, like this is going to take a few years to play out, but you're going to see immediate impacts in like middle class wage growth and like the immigration stuff. It's like the estimates it costs between $500 billion and $750 billion a year to service the illegal. So like you're reducing a lot of cost to our country. I don't think the budget deficit's going to be anywhere near as bad. Inflation's going to come down even more. Auto prices, so like new and used cars price went down this month. So for all these people telling us like the problems with tariffs, it's just not true. And like you can see it in India and China, and that's not like a Republican or Democrat thing. That's like free trade only exists in libertarian think tanks and Narnia. Like it doesn't exist in the real world. It never has. And so this is gonna the way that
shout out to Narnia, by the way.
The way that I like to think about this sort of industrial policy is that like prior to Trump doing this, our GDP is a skyscraper. And when you're just printing money and using debt to grow it, you're like taking pieces out of the foundation and just putting it on top. Whereas when you do these things to spur on domestic manufacturing, you're shoring up the foundation and you're pushing the whole thing up from the bottom. And so like, this is not some socialist redistribution of wealth, these tariffs, this manufacturing policy. What it is you're putting our entire country on more solid footing because like our exports as a percentage of our GDP, when you take out Boeing and defense, or like a rounding error where these other countries, like Germany, it's like their exports is 35% of their economy. Where us, it's like 2.5% when you take out Boeing and this other stuff. So look, I think this AI is unbelievable, particularly because of the way the street is pricing earnings. You see NVIDIA and AMD are up big this morning. The other one I love is Marvel. And like why? It's because Marvel is only like an $8-9 billion company. So if they add another 2 or 3
which is crazy to me. That's so small for one of those.
Well, and like if they sell like another $3 billion worth of GPUs for AI, it's really meaningful. Where if AMD does, it's just a much bigger company, and NVIDIA is so big now. I don't know that you're going to run up against the law of large numbers, but it's hard. And so these companies are much cheaper than they should be. They are like the cornerstone of what needs to happen for this entire AI trend. So like, look, man, like I don't know if you can poke any holes in what I'm saying, but like this is on like it's Donkey Kong, and it's almost like you can just my 3 biggest positions in my book of business are XLC, Palantir, and XLK. And Palantir,
so XLC being communications, XLK being technology, and Palantir. So double dipping on tech there.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Palantir is like I'm buying my clients small amounts when it's at 15 and $20, and I've just ridden the wave up. Okay, the other stock that I love is CoreWeave. And so that's another business that people don't get. So if you're buying Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Oracle for their cloud business, why not just play it in the pure cloud? And CoreWeave is run by ex-hedge fund guys. They ran a nat gas hedge fund. Okay, they buy NVIDIA GPUs. They make 30% a year, and they borrow at 10 to 12%. Right?
Marvel's $60 billion, by the way. Just an FYI.
Market cap, not revenue.
Right. Yeah. Still super small.
Yes.
I would, we're talking, political influences here on stocks. We're talking AI. We're talking Republican shit. Talk to me about Tesla. When I saw the tampon guy dancing on stage, talking about how he helps him get through his day to see the Tesla stock falling, I started buying very aggressively, right? I mean, when you see somebody, can you throw up the slide up there, please? Slide 1. When you see somebody who's constantly bragging about how broke he is and how he doesn't own any stocks, now going on stage talking about how he spends his days watching a stock, like it's not about him being a tampon guy. He could be like a Nazi. Like it's not the point. The point is when you see that, we got to be close. So sure enough, you had a 50% rally right off the bat after the tampon guy was dancing up on stage. And so AI, Republican stuff, or maybe was, who knows now, right? Like, how do you think about Tesla with all the things you were just saying? Seems like this one would fit right into there, but you haven't mentioned it once. Curious on that.
Yeah. So, I love Tesla. Right when everybody decided they hate Elon, I bought a used Model S. It's the single greatest material possession I've ever owned. I love it. I would marry my car. And so Tesla, like Elon, you have to remember Elon has Asperger's. And like, if you really like this is not a guy.
Is that a real diagnosis or we're just assuming?
Well, does it matter?
True.
So look, this is a guy who's like gonna irk people with the way he speaks. He's not an eloquent silver tongue guy. And like, look, he wants to, he wanted another 6 months in the administration. And when they wouldn't give it to him, they like he threw his toys and he wants to create this third party, which I don't think he's going to end up following through. Also, there were a lot of solar incentives that just got gutted from the Inflation Reduction Act that got gutted in this bill. And like, if you're on the Tesla email list, they're trying to sell a ton of that. But anyway, like Tesla, I love it. I love it. Like their cars are phenomenal. Yes, they're having some problems selling overseas, but like, they only sell 15, 16 million cars in America, and they sell almost 1 million Model Ys in the US. It's unbelievable. Okay, but that's just a small part of this. Okay, so in the autonomous taxi, you've got Waymo and you've got Tesla. It costs $250,000 to make a Waymo. Okay, it costs about $25,000 or $20,000 to make a robotaxi. Okay, that is a reoccurring software as a service revenue stream that you don't have yet. Okay, you have this self-driving, okay, which I pay $100 a month for. That is a separate software as a service revenue that's only going to get better. Okay, then you talk about the robots, right? So my cousin is a manufacturing company in the Midwest. Okay, as soon as he can get his hands on a robot, he's going to have 4 of them so they can be working in his factory. Okay, Tesla has never really been tethered to forward 12-month fundamentals. It's always forward 24, 36 months. I don't know that there is like a better company positioned for the world going forward as we know it.
How long, Mike, before Tesla is the most valuable company in the world?
You probably got 3 to 5 years.
But that's that's going to happen?
I think so. I think so. At a certain point, okay, so there's all these charts about Cisco in the 90s and NVIDIA. Okay, and it's just, if you look at the underlying of what happened with the infrastructure for the internet, that like we basically got there in 1998. Okay, we are 5 years away from that in AI. So NVIDIA is going to keep growing at an unbelievable clip, making a ton of money. So it's going to take some time for Tesla to catch them. But these robots, the robo-taxis, and it's to the point where I have a daughter who's 13. When she's 16, do I want to buy her a Model Y with full self-driving capabilities so she doesn't get in an accident when she's looking at Snapchat on her phone or something, right? Like that's like it's Dan Ives has talked about that. He doesn't think his kids will ever have a driver's license.
I was going to say my kids are 4 and 2. They're never going to have driver's licenses, right?
Maybe not. I'm like going back and forth on that, and like getting her a Wrangler that's got like a manual transmission so she can actually learn how to drive. Just like I had when I was the days of Fairfield Beach, scooting around in that 2-door Wrangler.
Dude, doing donuts in the parking lot in the snow. Remember?
Yes.
Yes. I'm from Miami. We didn't have that. Right? We didn't have that.
So,
this is it, ladies and gentlemen, this is the pride of Ridgefield, Connecticut, right here.
Oh,
right?
That's right. Go Tigers.
See how I know? See how I know?
So anyway, look, this AI, like this is the numbers behind it. So like going back to CoreWeave, all CoreWeave does is stand up data centers, right? They did 200 million in revenue 2 years ago, 1.9 billion last year. They're going to do 5 to 6 billion this year. They're going to do 12 to 15 next year, and in the 20s the year after, right? So it's 65, $70 billion market cap. They're running at a 65% gross margin. So if you give that a 20 multiple on 20 billion in 2027, that's a $240, $250 billion market cap. That's a 4X in 18 months, right? Like this is unbelievable. There's never been stuff like this where you're like a Palantir is like a 10 bagger, right? Like I've never seen stuff like maybe this happened in the dot-com boom when we were in high school. Okay, I only started really working in the brokerage industry in the summer of 2001. I worked at a bank a couple years before that, but like I did not see these companies take off, and it's happening left and right. And like the other thing I want guys to think about is this AI. So you have a pyramid right now, and the fat part of the pyramid is where all the money's being made for AI. So at the bottom, you have the infrastructure names and the chip makers. Okay, and at the top, you have software. That pyramid's going to flip upside down at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, where all the money's going to be made in software. And so be on the lookout for other software names besides Palantir. ServiceNow is a very expensive stock, but I love it. They're not quite as much juice as Palantir. And then the cybersecurity names, Palo Alto and who's my other guy? I'm blanking right now.
Hold on. Speaking, I appreciate the time. You gave us a lot of time today. Speaking of juice, getting some chatter asking about which is the best protein powder. Is Kirkland brand okay, or do you have a better protein?
I get the Jocko stuff because it doesn't have the fake stuff in there.
The Jocko, how do you spell that?
Jocko Willink, the Navy SEAL. J-O's. No. You don't know who Jocko is? He's got a huge. Okay, so Jocko. He's a huge. He's huge. He was a Navy SEAL.
I don't hang out on Instagram looking at jacked dudes. Like I can understand how that might be something you're interested in, right? I'm me. It's just not for me.
JC, you're the only one I know that doesn't.
Fair. No, fair. Also, who is the coolest? I had 3 questions for you. One was the protein powder. Number 2, what is the coolest university in the MAC conference after Fairfield University?
Oh, that's a good one. Man, I went to Siena for a few times. That was a lot of fun.
I hear good things about Siena. I never partied in Siena. I had some buddies there. All right, Siena. All right, shout out to Siena. And then finally, everything you're talking about, like literally, you could replace the companies and the names that you're saying and just put Bitcoin. Sounds to me like with everything you're saying, you got to be long Bitcoin. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah. So the Bitcoin, I mean. Like it's all happening. It's happening now, and it's just fun to watch. Because I think it was at like 30,000 when they were talking about the ETF was going to actually get approved.
Yeah,
and I was like screaming from the mountaintops, like you need to start buying this. And so, now we're in there. Now we're at 120. You're definitely going to see 200 by the end of the year.
200 by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a triple of our previous cycle high. So like that's so within 18 months. So I think we made a new high sometime last spring. And then within 18 months of there, so 200 by the end of the year. I don't know.
Wow, that's an aggressive target. I like it, Mike. I like it.
Yeah, and like, look, it's like given how much debt the U.S. has, like the stable stuff that's going on the stable coin right there. It's just wild how much the world has changed since the last time I came on. The other prediction that I had, which people thought I had 5 heads, was that Trump was going to win the popular vote. Okay, which he did. So I just want to do a victory lap on that. because like I don't get enough time to do victory laps, and so I'm taking them.
No, you take your victory lap, my man. You take your victory lap. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with Mr. Mike Lee, give him a follow. You'll catch him on all your favorite conservative TV networks. Catch him in the Money Show in Vegas, in bed by 8 p.m. I doubt it, but we'll go with it. Mr. Mike Lee, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your time, bro. Appreciate you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
The pride of Ridgefield, Connecticut, a fellow graduate of a one Fairfield University. Shout out to the Stags. Giving a shout out to Sienna. All right. I see you, Sienna, up in Albany. I never partied there. I guess I saw the school we played against them, but I never partied there. You ever partied in Sienna?
No. I don't. I know. All I know is it's in New York. I don't even know where it is. It's
in Albany.
Okay, fine. Then I've been to Albany. Does that count? Let's bring on. I know. We're past the open, but let's bring on Phil Perlman real fast, and then we'll hop. And Phil is going to leave us all with some wisdom.
Oh,
Phil,
shout out Dr. Phil.
I don't have a cool, sexy bumper for you, so I'm just going to bring it right on.
We got to get a cool, sexy bumper. Look at that sexy face. Look at that sexy face.
What's up, fellas?
What do you think about all this conservative Republican talk? What do you think about that there, Pearl Dog?
Here's my view, is that when there is hatred for the market, as you point out, that is usually just fuel for the fire of the bull market. And so it doesn't matter left or right. It doesn't matter who's doing the hating. It's just, if that's there, it's awesome. And so, great, the better. Yeah. Throw them on the fire.
Yeah, listen, it's the liberals that are angry and all betting on lower price, stock prices. But if it was the Republicans that were super angry betting, that would be great. That would be fine also, by the way, just to be clear. But
yes,
it's the liberals
exactly.
Come around, but
exactly.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, there's a lot more going on. I mean, you and Mike were just talking about stocks going up and can they just keep going? And, he was saying that he wasn't around during the .com. I was around during the .com. And let me tell you something, they could just keep going and going and going, and they go until they stop. And if you're looking at price behavior and you're looking at having a level for risk management's sake, you could ride this thing forever until it breaks. And it's going to break one day. It's just going to break one day. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It happens all the time. But these things do go on. Cisco did go on forever. AOL did go on forever. I used to get up. I used to get up and I would turn on the CNBC and AOL was up another 3 points. And then it was Groundhog Day. And then I would wake up again the next day and it was up another 5 points. I was like, unbelievable. And it would go on and on and on. And by the way, Greenspan did his irrational exuberance speech.
I was going to say that. 97.
Dude. 97. There was three. It was early 97, late 96. There were 3 years left in the bull market when the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who was held in great esteem, came on and was talking about irrational exuberance in the markets. And
December 96.
December 96. There you go.
Right.
December the 5th of 1996.
And so can we go on for a while longer? Absolutely. Should we discard our risk management, a rising 200-day moving average, however you do it? Absolutely not.
No complaints.
The best whey protein, by the way, the best whey protein is steak and eggs. Okay?
Don't give me that.
Whey protein powder is steak and eggs.
You're so full of shit because you're the one who tells me that on the yogurt you put protein powder. So don't.
I absolutely use it. I use it. I didn't say the only. I said the best.
Okay.
Eat steak and eggs. Eat yogurt. You could put protein powder in the yogurt. Absolutely. The isolate is the best quality. Fine. But the best is steak and eggs and broccoli or some kind of vegetable, some kind of berry, a little bit of Greek yogurt, steak and eggs. That's your best protein, your best quality protein.
Steak
and that's
over pork. Steak over pork?
Pork is fine. Pork is great.
But
pork
steak is better?
Steak is delicious. Yeah, it's all good.
Steak is delicious.
Nobody said it wasn't.
Didn't say
delicious.
it was better.
Nobody said it wasn't delicious. No, but it goes steak. Steak is more protein than
fish is great. Steak. Listen, you know what? There's a 10 commandments, right? You got steak, you got fish, you got eggs, you got Greek yogurt, you got berries, you got vegetables, you got olive oil and avocado oil and butter. You got black coffee and water. You got pork. And then what was the last one? I forgot the last one, but that's it. Just eat those 10 things and you're going to be so unbelievably healthy. It's a comedy. It's
no Doritos.
Doritos did not make the list. I'm sorry.
What about pork rinds? Pork rinds are okay.
Pork rinds are great. I eat pork rinds all the time.
Nacho cheese?
No, you skip the nacho cheese. Cheese is, cheese and nuts are cheese and nuts. If you can just eat one handful of nuts or have one piece of cheese and nuts are fine. You could put cheese on a burger. But if you're going to start eating nuts and you're going to like handful after handful, or you're going to start eating cheese and nuts are okay foods.
Yeah, but what about berries?
Hyper palatable.
You can eat a zillion raspberries.
What's that?
You can eat a zillion raspberries, though.
Maybe you can.
You can eat. Go ahead. Eat a zillion fucking raspberries. I don't care. Yeah, I really don't
eat as many raspberries and blackberries as you want, but don't do that with the nuts?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because you know what? You're not going to buy a giant 5-pound. You go to Costco, you get this giant thing of freaking nuts. And if you can eat half that bag, you're going to eat like 10,000 calories.
Yeah.
If you go and you get a thing of raspberries, you're going to eat like 500. Big deal.
And I just want to give a shout out to Animal Protein. I absolutely love animal protein. You're going to like this story, Phil. You know what I did yesterday? I was making steaks for the family. Whenever we make steaks, I purposely make too many so that we can get tacos the next day, right? So that is by design.
Yes.
And then you know what happened? Because I'm such an idiot, we ran out of gas in the tanks, right? Because I don't have my gas line hooked up to my grill yet. So I used the tanks like we're in the Stone Age. So I had 3 tanks. Of course, the third one just ran out yesterday. So I wasn't able to grill it. So you know what I did? I grabbed that pan and I grabbed the beef tallow, the Wagyu beef tallow. Dude, and I seared the crap out of that thing in the beef tallow. Let me tell you something. I always grill the steaks, but we couldn't yesterday, obviously, because I'm an idiot. I got to tell you, it's pretty damn good. No butter at all, just the tallow.
It's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that at all in any way whatsoever.
And my daughter says, "Daddy, you make the best steaks."
That's lovely.
And then everybody clapped, right, JC?
Hey, listen, loophole or whatever, loophole. Chicken is the 10th commandment. He gave me the shout out. Chicken is the 10th commandment. You just eat those 10 things. It's beautiful.
And listen, I got one more thing to say. It doesn't have to be the breast. Wings too, right?
Wings are great. Thighs are unbelievable.
Yeah.
You put thighs on the grill with like a dry rub. It's just
and
delicious.
Phil, but the wings and the thighs are more satiating than the breast, correct?
Yes, that's true. That's there's individual differences there, but for the most part, when you have that protein fat combination and it's like good like that, man, there's nothing better than that.
What is the best pepper and why is it cayenne?
Cayenne pepper is great. Peppers are just a gift from God. I mean, they're great. They're low. It's a low carbohydrate.
Is it a carbohydrate?
Really a fruit. Yeah, there's carbohydrates, and it's technically a fruit, but it's low carb. It's right in the same. Berries, avocados, peppers, all fantastic, and obviously the green vegetables are great.
One of the things you taught me though, that I'll never forget is that if it makes you cry, it's good for you. Onions, garlic, hot sauce, right? If it makes you cry, it makes you tear up, eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. Onions, the whole 9 yards is fantastic. All that stuff is great for you. Cleans you out. Delicious. What's not to like? It's great. And you could just keep it simple too. You have a good piece of meat. You have a good piece of fish. You don't have to go crazy. Just put, a little salt and pepper, a little lemon, a little garlic,
little onion powder in there, a little how you doing,
Little onion powder. Why not?
I go with cayenne. I don't put cayenne on the steak. Do you like cayenne on the steak or no?
I don't do that personally, but if you made me that, I'd have zero problem with it.
No, I do it on the chicken. I don't do it on the steak.
Yeah, I have no one whole. I love the comments, man. I have the YouTube up, and the comments are just going crazy, and it's fantastic. If people with thighs are amazing. No skin though. Skin is a whole thing, man. It's a vibe, and then you could do no skin, but you could also do skin. I mean, you do thighs, skin, bone on, and you do that on the grill, man, and it gets really, really good, really delicious. Listen, I want to talk about something about the market, okay? So here's the thing. We're making all-time highs here, right? And everything is yah-yah, and it's fantastic. And like I just said, and like Mike was saying, this could go on for a long time. And if you have your discipline in place, you're totally good as long as you're following your discipline. But I will say, you know, people have this tendency to be reactive. It's just human nature. And they have this tendency to make a plan when they have to. And this is some Sun Tzu shit going on right here. This is some art of war shit, right? People have this tendency to be reactive. People have this tendency to make a plan when they have to. So there was all of these people out there doing risk management earlier this year when the market was getting killed. And it was completely idiotic. Like that is the wrong, when you're highly emotional and when you are losing money, it is the absolute wrong time to be making your plans and setting your strategy. And yet that's when everybody's doing it. That's when we're getting calls, people asking us questions. What should I do now? I'm not going to mention any names, but you know, that's when you get those calls. That is the perfectly wrong time to be making your plan. And the same goes for health management as well, personal health management. When you are healthy, when you're sick, it's the absolute worst time to be making your personal health plans. At the same time, now we are at all-time highs in the markets, and it is the absolute perfect time. If you don't have a great plan that will suit you when the market's going crazy and when the market's getting killed, and you don't have a plan that's set for you over a longer period of time and where you are in your life right now is the time to do it. Because you don't have any of those emotions, any of that fear. Losses loom larger than gains. You don't have all that fear that's making you do stupid shit. So now you have the best judgment you're ever going to have. Now is the time to sit down, sharpen a pencil, make a really good plan that you can stick to over a long period of time. Same exact thing with your health. If you are well, right? If you are not sick, if you are not in the hospital, if you don't have a broken leg, if you're not taking 5 medications, if you didn't just get back from the doctor and he says, you know, you have to take blood pressure medication. Now is the exact time to make yourself a health plan that you can stick to figure out like the 10 commandments of what you eat or an exercise plan and all that stuff. So when you're healthy and when the market's at highs, that's when you make a plan for either your health and for markets.
It's good advice. It's good advice. The S&P's down. You know, if you're one of those like me that puts money in the S&P 500 every month for one of your strategies, for us, it's, you know, our children's accounts and our retirement stuff, and we do that every month. When the S&P is down 8% in a month, we put twice as much, right? But you
know you're going to do that. You know you're going to do that
right
beforehand. Like you're not going into it and going, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" You're thinking that because you have that experience and you've done it. You have that plan. Hey, Topher, lentils are fine, but if you're going to be a vegetarian, make sure you're doing the work behind the scenes to know that you're getting the stuff that you need to get.
I
just want
to give a shout out to Animal Protein again. Let's do a little recess and get out of here.
Sure.
All right, Perlman. My recess today is right up your alley. My wife's grandfather, it was his birthday, and we went out to dinner, and he goes, JC, I could really use some oxtails. That's what he tells me. You know, the old man, he tells me stories about partying in the 50s, you know, good dude. And I'm like, you know what? It's been too long since I made oxtails. So I just want to give everybody a little piece of advice on the oxtails, the way the Cubans don't eat spicy food. But for some reason, maybe it's a Jamaican influence, I don't know. For some reason, oxtails is actually a spicy Cuban dish. We call it rabo encendido. So when I grew up eating oxtails, it was a little spicy. And now that I'm older, I like it even spicier. But here's the problem. When I first started making oxtails, I would make the broth way too spicy to the point where you couldn't even eat it. You couldn't even drink the broth. And then the meat itself wasn't that spicy at all. So I need to reverse engineer that and make the broth edible and the meat spicy. So the solution is you marinate the oxtails, get 3 tails, 3 whole tails, have them cut it up. You marinate the oxtails in the cayenne for multiple days before you make it. And that way the broth is edible and the meat is spicy. And then you make sure you sear it, lock in all those spices. But that's my solution for oxtail. So shout out to the cow's ass.
Katie Adler saying cayenne on eggs, and I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, cayenne on eggs. I like that. I'm into that. Yeah, sure.
Sure. I got nothing. I was going to say we got Jeff Mackey going live today on the channel. I'll be going live with him, but that'll be at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Unfortunately, what are my options with Sean today? Rain check for him. He'll be back next week. Or maybe we'll do it later on in the week. We'll see. But Jeff Mackey live at 1. That's all we got. So thank you for watching. Thank you to Phil. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Kenny. Thank you to the chat. As always, you guys are the best. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow with a new guest. I'm not going to say who, but a new guest on tomorrow's show.
Ooh.
Adios, guys.
Adios. Thanks, Phil.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.